Welcome to the new year and to the first movie review of the year. This month I'm having a look at the season of The Witch from 2011 and Suspiria from 2018, not the original 1977 version. But before we get to that, I have to tell you about a resource that is a total game changer if you've ever felt like you're just guessing your way through life's big decisions, as many of us do. Today's video is sponsored by Rev Kai, a specialized astrologer and diviner with over 25 years of experience. They provide a strategic blueprint for your life using little-known medieval and Renaissance astrological methods gleaned from recently discovered manuscripts. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, Rev Kai offers regular forecasting for the month or year ahead, so you always know exactly what's coming. They even specialize in deep dive services like identifying your innate magical skills and uncovering the name of your natal genius. For major events like business launches or weddings, they use electional astrology to find your window for success. And if you've never known your birth time, Rev Kai's rectification service can find it for you, giving you an accurate map to work with. I have first-hand experience with that, so I can definitely vouch for that. But they also help people build sustainable connections through ancestor veneration and spirit communication, sorting through lineage and tradition with confidence. Now, RevKai is offering a special 20% off for my viewers. So visit revkai.com and use the secret password, which is Midnight Hair. It's on the screen, so use that when you book your initial consultation. So stop guessing and start navigating with precision. Now, Season of the Witch is often dismissed as a middling Nicolas Cage vehicle, a piece of dark medieval fantasy that never quite found its audience. That dismissal misses something important. Beneath the uneven pacing and occasionally blunt dialogue sits a surprisingly sharp occult subtext, one that cuts far closer to the bone than the film is usually given credit for. And at its core, this is not really a story about witches at all. It is a story about power, belief, and the moment when faith fractures into something darker. Set during the Black Death, the film follows two knights, Behmen and Felsen, who have spent years fighting in the Crusades under the banner of the Church. From the outset, the occult tone is established not through spellcraft, but through atmosphere. Plague-ridden villages, mass graves, superstition, and the ever-present fear that unseen forces are at work. This is a world where the invisible is assumed to be real, whether that invisibility is framed as God, the devil, or disease. The pivotal occult theme emerges when the knights desert. Their decision is not born of cowardice, but of awakening. They witness the church's violence escalate beyond war into systemic slaughter, men, women, and children wiped out simply for being other. What the film articulates, sometimes clumsily but unmistakably, is the realization that the church and God are not synonymous. The church claims divine authority, yet behaves like a machine of conquest and eradication. This distinction is the film's most subversive idea, and it is where its occult weight truly lies. Occultism at its heart is concerned with what is hidden rather than what is authorized, the unseen mechanics of reality, the forces that move beneath appearances, and the ways human beings come into direct relationship with them. Questions of good and evil belong to institutions that require control. Season of the Witch understands this instinctively. The church in the film operates less like a spiritual body and more like an egregore, a thought form sustained by belief, fear, and obedience. Its rituals are not about communion with the divine, but about control. Exorcisms, trials, the accusations of witchcraft become tools of social purification. In that sense, the church behaves exactly like the thing it claims to oppose. The journey to transport the accused witch is framed as a classic occult ordeal. The group passes through liminal spaces, forests, ruins, abandoned monasteries, each one stripping away certainty. The accused girl herself functions as an initiatory mirror. Whether she is truly possessed or not matters less than what she reveals about those around her. The knights, the priest, the skeptic, the fanatic, each projects their own fears and beliefs into her. This is textbook occult psychology. The demon is not merely external, it feeds on belief, guilt, and repression. Behrman's arc is especially telling. His faith is not destroyed, it is refined. He does not reject God, but he rejects the institution that claims exclusive access to him. This distinction is rare in mainstream cinema, which usually collapses faith and church into a single entity. Here, the film gestures toward a more esoteric understanding that true spirituality is internal, experiential, and often in conflict with organized religion. That insight aligns far more with mystical and occult traditions than with Orthodox Christianity. The final act, where possession becomes undeniable, does not undermine the theme as much as critics suggest. Even if a literal demon is present, it does not absolve the church. The suffering, death, and genocide shown earlier were not caused by demons, they were caused by human certainty weaponized by doctrine. The occult horror ultimately is not hell manifesting, but righteousness without compassion. Visually, the film reinforces this reading. The church's spaces are cold, stone-bound, and lifeless, while the wild places, forests, roads, ruins, they thrum with danger, but also possibility. This is inversion magic at work. The holy is sterile, the profane is alive. It is a subtle but effective visual spell. Season of the Witch is flawed, but its occult heart is genuine. Just don't go believing that the Key of Solomon was the same as the Malleus Maleficarum. But it dares to suggest that the true heresy is confusing God with power and holiness with violence. In doing so, it transforms a simple witch hunt narrative into a meditation on spiritual betrayal. For viewers willing to look past its surface, the film offers something rare, a mainstream fantasy that understands that the most dangerous demon is institutionalized belief, convinced of its own infallibility. Suspiria is not interested in being comforting or coherent in a conventional sense or easily consumed. It is a ritual masquerading as a film, and like most real rituals, it is messy, embodied, and deeply unsettling. Where the 1977 original treated witchcraft as lurid spectacle and dream logic horror, the remake does something far more dangerous. It takes the occult seriously. Not literally in every detail, but structurally, philosophically, and psychologically. This is not a fairy tale about witches. It is a study of how occult systems actually operate. At its core, Suspiria understands something most films get wrong. Witchcraft is not just about spells and candles, it is about bodies, power, lineage, and consent. The Marcos Dance Academy is not a coven in the Hollywood sense. It is closer to a closed initiatory order with hierarchy, schisms, and succession crises. The dancers are not merely students, they are resources, vessels. The film's occult realism lies in how bluntly it presents this truth. Magic is not democratic, and it is rarely kind. The central occult structure of the film revolves around the three mothers, Marcos, Blank, and Suspiriorum. This triadic god form is one of the more overtly mythic elements, yet it still maps cleanly onto real esoteric patterns. Triple goddesses, split aspects of sovereignty, and competing currents within a single tradition are common across occult systems. What Suspiria gets right is that these forces are not abstractions. They require administration, infrastructure, and maintenance. Power must be housed somewhere, and that somewhere is usually flesh. Dance in the film functions as embodied ritual magic, and this is one of its most accurate occult gestures. Movement as invocation, repetition as trance induction, synchronized bodies as a magical engine. These are not cinematic inventions. They echo ecstatic rites and shamanic dance. The infamous scene where Olga is destroyed through Susie's dancing is grotesque, but it represents that magic happens through displacement. One body pays so another may be prepared. The coven itself is deeply realistic in its dysfunction. Occult groups fracture, lineages rot, elders cling to power long past their usefulness. Suspiria does not romanticize any of this. Mother Marcos is not a dark goddess. She is a decaying tyrant sustained by inertia and fear. Mother Blanc is not benevolent. She is pragmatic, selective, and complicit. This internal conflict is crucial. In reality, occult orders are rarely united in purpose, and when succession is involved, ideology becomes a weapon. Susie Banyon's role is where the film fully commits to occult logic rather than horror tropes. She is not chosen in the Christian sense, nor is she possessed against her will. She remembers what she is. This is a key distinction. In many esoteric traditions, awakening is framed as anamnesis, a remembering rather than an acquisition. Susie's gradual assumption of her identity as Mater Suspiria is handled with restraint and inevitability. There is no moral struggle because there is no moral framework that applies. Gods are not ethical, they are ontological. This is where the film diverges sharply from popular occult fantasy. Mater Suspirium is not evil, she is corrective. Her mercy, when it comes, is terrifying because it is absolute. Death is not punishment, it is release. This aligns uncomfortably well with how certain chthonic and underworld deities function in real myth and magical practice. They do not care about human morality. They care about balance, debt, and closure. The inclusion of Dr. Klemperer grounds the film in another layer of realism. Trauma, repression, and guilt are not obstacles to magic here, they are fuel. His skepticism does not protect him. His rationalism does not save him. Instead, he is absorbed, rewritten, and then mercifully unburdened. Memory itself becomes malleable, which is one of the most honest occult ideas the film presents. Identity is not fixed, it is curated. Does Suspiria get everything right? No. Its cosmology is invented, its symbolism deliberately opaque, and its rituals stylized. But this misses the point. Occult realism is not about accuracy of symbols, it is about accuracy of function. On that level, Suspiria is uncomfortably close to the truth. Power demands bodies. Tradition consumes its own. Awakening is not gentle, and gods, when they walk among us, do not ask permission. Suspiria is not a film about witches hiding in plain sight. It is about the price of continuity, the violence inherent in inheritance, and the cold intimacy of real magic. It does not ask whether you believe, it assumes belief is irrelevant. The work continues regardless. All right, that brings us to the end of this month's and the start of the year's first movie review. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. If you have any suggestions for movies, I do have a very, very long list that I've got to get through. But if you do have any suggestions, I'll check it if it's on my list. If it's not, I'll add it somewhere. All right, so let me know if of those suggestions. Okay, thanks for watching, and cheers for now. Bye-bye.